Greetings. My name is Stuart Mars, percussion teacher at the University of Maine, and I am delighted to be able to share with you some preparation tips and demo performances for the 2020 Maine All-State Percussion Auditions. There are 4 videos in this set: the tenor solo number 4 that everyone prepares, and separate videos for the Whaley Etudes for snare drum, timpani, and mallets. I hope you find them useful in preparing for your audition, and if you need to contact me with any questions, my contact information is below in the description section. In the meanwhile, best of luck and happy practicing. Meter. This is a multimeter etude where the 8th note remains constant while the value of the pulse changes back and forth between the quarter note and the dotted quarter note. I find the most practical way to count in this scenario is to count each 8th note division out loud, either as a 1-2 for the quarter note or 1-2-3 for the dotted quarter. That way you are never counting over 3, and your counting maintains a constant speed. The second line, for example, would go like this: 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So always either 1 2 or 1 2 3, and you really can't go wrong with that. It doesn't matter what the overall meter is, just the groupings in this particular case. Accents and phrasing. Although the etude contains no written accents, most metric music uses what is referred to as agogic accents, implicit in the meter, to help the listener who isn't looking at the score feel the meter. We achieve this by slightly accenting the beginning of the measure and each pulse grouping within the measure. When this is intentionally varied, it's called syncopation, and in jazz and Afro-pop, it brings a whole new level of excitement to the meter. This etude is more like an odd-metered march without syncopation. So use the agogic accents to audibly indicate the groupings of 2 and 3 8th note pulses, like the 7/8 measure, 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, or the 5/8 measure, 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Accenting each grouping gives the listener the idea of what the meter is. Tempo. Try to memorize the marked tempo and come as close to it as you can in the audition. Since Beethoven's time, composers have been taking care to use metronome markings to indicate tempo, so this is no small matter. Pay particular attention to the molto ritardando over the last 2 bars and make a dramatic ritardando and crescendo to end this etude with panache. Dynamics. Since snare drum lacks definite pitch and the melodic element, we have to emphasize the other elements of music to maintain musical interest. The instrument has a tremendous dynamic range that we can exploit for that purpose. This etude has 4 marked dynamic levels with a couple of crescendos. As you prepare the piece, make sure that each level is discernibly different from the others. The piano level in particular should have the greatest difference because it is 2 dynamic levels away from its nearest neighbor, the mezzo forte, whereas the other levels, mezzo forte, forte, and fortissimo, are adjacent levels. Flams. I would like to talk about this rudiment with you briefly because I often find it is poorly understood. It consists of a real note and a grace note. The real note is played the same way you would play a single note on the snare drum with a full stroke. The grace note, however, is executed differently. It is a very soft and subtle tap of its stick on its way up into the full stroke pattern to play the next real note. So the grace note is like this, coming up to play the next real note. The grace note, if I play this flam, so one really loud note or one full stroke note, and the other just a tap on the way up to play the next one on the other hand. No matter what the dynamic of the real note is, the grace note maintains that soft, subtle character. So it is not really two notes. Rather, it is one note with an embellishment to make it a bit fatter. It takes some practice to get right, but once you do, it becomes second nature to execute it with a great sound. Those are loud, soft. They're still, the grace note is very soft. Okay, I want to move on to rolls. This etude only contains short rolls. In fact, they are all exactly the same length, albeit at different dynamic levels. Try to use a density of buzz appropriate for each dynamic level. The hand rhythm will remain at 16th notes for each, but the density of the buzz will change depending on the dynamic. For louder rolls, the buzz will be less dense, and for softer rolls, the buzz will be more dense. So loud rolls, less dense, softer rolls, more dense. You can tell there are more notes in that buzz. So my forte rolls, you can hear that density. And the piano rolls, same speed of hands, but the density is, the notes and the buzz are much closer. Okay? So density goes along with dynamics and hand speed. In this case, the hand speed's the same, but the density is changing with the dynamics.